Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the things that you need to expect if you're moving to the Seattle area. Hey everyone, I am Brennen Clouse and I'm your favorite Seattle area realtor. If you don't know me yet, I left Microsoft years ago to make a bigger impact on people's lives directly by helping them build wealth through real estate. Today, I'm super happy you're here. We're going to be talking about things you should expect if you are moving to the Seattle area. According to CNBC, 1 out of every 4 homebuyers is looking to make a move to a different city, or about 25% of homebuyers. So today we're gonna talk about everything you need to know if you're planning on making a move to Seattle. I'm here to help you and guide you along the way, answer your questions, and certainly make sure you know everything about the city that you might need to know, so when you're ready to purchase, when that time comes, you are fully prepared. Below this video, you can subscribe for more information, and certainly feel free to reach out if you do want to talk more about Seattle or you're thinking about making a move. There's a direct link to my calendar down there where you can book a quick appointment and we can have a chat about what it's like to move to Seattle. So feel free to take advantage of that. I myself have lived in multiple neighborhoods across the city in my 10 years in Seattle, so I know a lot about the different neighborhoods. Each neighborhood in Seattle does have a different feel. Anything from Ballard all the way to Capitol Hill to Central District and even downtown and Belltown. They all have different feels. If you're looking at the east side, that's also a completely different experience than what you might expect from something like downtown Seattle. So there's a lot of different neighborhoods that each have their own unique perspective and their own unique way of life that will change based on where you are looking. Let's start off with number 1. The first thing you need to think about is actually where you're going to live. You want to know where that's going to be in consideration of your work, if you do have to go into the office, or maybe what you like to do for fun, or how you like to spend your weekend. So a really important thing is proximity to work for a lot of people. So thinking about how will you be able to get to work. We have the light rail in Seattle as well as a very thorough bus system. The light rail is expanding to the east side. So if you wanted to go over to Bellevue or Redmond, pretty soon you'll be able to do that through the light rail system. So that will give a lot of different transportation options, but you of course have to be close to one of the stations, which runs through Capitol Hill, downtown into Pioneer Square, as well as Soto. So you could be on any of those stops and easily get over to the east side. The other thing you might want to think about if you're not going into the office is, what do you like to do for fun? So each neighborhood has a different sort of feel and a different opportunity on the weekends or in the evenings. Capitol Hill is a little bit more of an artsy area where you could go out, lots of dinner spots, a lot of drink spots, whereas Ballard is similar, but it's a little bit more, I would call it grown up, a little bit more mature in its age. It also offers the Ballard Farmers Market, as well as things like Fremont, where you also have a farmers market on Sundays. So there's different opportunities based on what you're really looking to do. One other consideration you might want to think about is, if you're trying to leave town on the weekends to go do outdoor activities, where do you want to be in order to get out of town quicker? Ballard is going to be a little bit harder if you're trying to go east because it's on the far west side, as well as Magnolia. But if you live in Central District, for example, you can be to the east side within minutes. So some considerations about knowing where you want to live. The second thing you should think about in terms of moving to the Seattle area is all about education. So home buying is typically tied to some sort of education. Typically people are looking at schools, especially if they have children. But in addition to that, you may want to be looking at schools if you're thinking about renting your property out later to have a higher rent value based on the school district. It's important in Seattle. There are many great, amazing public schools, but you may want to think about what's available privately if you're thinking about going that way. So there are a lot of different school districts, a lot of different ratings. Obviously, you can look online at things like greatschools.org, but you'll want to know exactly what you want in terms of a school district. Or if you're thinking about colleges, Seattle offers many different colleges. We have Seattle Pacific, we have Seattle University, we obviously have the University of Washington. So there are many different colleges across the area, which bring a lot of people in, brings a lot of the college staff in, as well as opportunities for in-state tuition if you are raising children in Seattle who eventually want to go on to something like that in-state. Obviously, there are a lot of college options in Seattle across the city, so there's many different opportunities for bringing in in different types of people and a lot of higher education in the city. So it is really important to think about what you want to be close to, what proximity you want to have to any of those institutions, or if you want to have proximity at all. The next thing we'll want to think about when you are expecting to move to Seattle is obviously finding the right house for you. This is where I come in, this is where I am an expert, and I can help guide you along the way. A couple things you might want to think about is how to come and visit Seattle prior to starting your house hunt, and at that time we can go out and see a couple homes. I can always send you a couple to go see, we can look at them together, but you really want to get a feel for the neighborhood, get a feel for what's around the home, what are other homes just like it. I've certainly had clients who have come from out of state, they've visited once, they know the neighborhood, and then if another house in that neighborhood comes onto the market, they're immediately ready to go because they know exactly what the neighborhood is like. Of course, we can help you buy sight unseen. That is an opportunity. We often do FaceTime tours, or we'll call you directly, walk you through the property, or send videos to you so you have a really good idea of what the home is like. Of course, there's also technology like Matterport, which gives you the 3D tour, but we love to get you on the phone, on FaceTime or Zoom as well, and walk you through the property. Washington is super buyer friendly in the state, and so you do have the opportunity, if you want to make an offer on a property and you're not quite ready to commit, you do have contingency periods that protect you as the buyer. So if you are thinking about making an offer, you could always have that contingency in place where you could fly in during the contingency to actually see the house and make sure that it's something that you want. I've certainly had clients who have gotten into contract on a home. We've had a 5-day inspection contingency, and then they come during those 5 days to make sure that they really like the house and it's actually the one for them, where they are still protected by that contingency to back out of the offer and get their earnest money back if they don't like that property. So that is something you can think about doing. It's certainly an option in Washington state, makes it super buyer friendly, but we'll want to narrow down what those neighborhoods are. So understanding which neighborhoods you like, which you don't. There are often similar types of homes in each neighborhood, so we can go out and take a look at those before you actually make your move and help you visit the properties that are right for you, so that when you do see something that you really like, you have the ability to jump on it as quickly as possible. The fourth thing that you'll want to prepare when you're coming to Seattle is something that people are a little bit divided on, and that is the rain. So you'll want to think about the weather. This sometimes is shocking to people, and sometimes it's better than people thought. And what I mean by that is it's not always a downpour in Seattle. Typically it is a lot of drizzle. There's a lot of gray skies at the beginning of the day, and then it does tend to clear out a little bit or a little more by the afternoon. So you do want to be prepared for the weather. I would say our best months are obviously like July, August, September, even October some years. So be aware that if you're visiting during that time frame, that might be a little bit of a false narrative of what the weather is like the rest of the year. But you know, as long as you have a great raincoat, you have the waterproof shoes. A lot of people, it is true in Seattle, do not use umbrellas. I don't know why that is, but you always can use one. Now, you'll want to just be prepared for this, especially if you have a pet or an animal who needs to go outside. That's something that you want to be aware of, that you will be spending time outside, as well as just making sure that you're fully prepared. You know, if you are riding public transit to the office, or if you're going into an office, just being prepared for the day. A lot of times people will get a lot of different layers and then obviously have their raincoat over top of that to make sure they're fully protected. It is bearable once you get used to it, and once you have the right gear, just making sure that you have that in place when you come is super important, and making sure you're taking your vitamin D, and maybe you have a imitation sunlight. That's really important in Seattle as well. So be prepared for the weather, be prepared for some of those things that you might not think about if you do live in a sunnier place like California or Arizona, where you might be coming to Seattle. It's really important to prepare for that. And I always tell people, make sure that you're planning your sunny vacation right around January, February. That's when you will need it the most. You'll feel like you've gotten through the winter and you actually want to get into a sunnier spot. So make sure you're planning that vacation if you can during those winter months. Last but not least, the last thing to prepare and know about moving to Seattle is everyone loves to be outdoors. Seattle is a very active city, it's very vibrant, and obviously it's very green and lush because we see a ton of rain throughout the year, and so it keeps it really nice and green. So people really take advantage of this, and you'll especially see that on sunnier days when it feels like the whole city comes outside. A lot of people will do hiking, so you can get to trails within about an hour of Seattle or less. You can do trails that are right east of Bellevue that are really amazing. You can hike up Poo-Poo Point. You can hike up to different types of lakes like Lake Serene. There's a lot of really beautiful hiking trails right by Seattle and very accessible if you have a car. It's super easy. So you may need to think about having a car if you do want to do a lot of hiking. Similarly, skiing. A lot of people ski or snowboard in Seattle, and so that's why I mentioned leaving the city on the weekends. It is an activity that a lot of people do over the weekend or just even for a day. You can leave in the morning and then be back by the evening. So there are a lot of different ski resorts right within a few hour distance of Seattle. There are a few different ski resorts very close to Seattle. I believe you can get to Stevens and Snoqualmie within about an hour or 2 hours from the city. And then Mount Baker, which is a little bit further, I think it's 2 to 3 hours. Obviously, all of them have different areas that you can go stay overnight if you want to. Leavenworth is also an amazing village to kind of go to if you are thinking about going out and skiing for the entire weekend. You can stay in Leavenworth and experience the German way of life in a little German town and then go skiing during the day. So there's a ton of skiing, a really accessible amount that you can get to right from the city. Now that's not all. A lot of people in Seattle also love running and biking outside. I even have friends who do paragliding outside. So it is a very active city. So we have the Burke-Gilman Trail, which obviously is a really long trail where you can bike actually all the way around Lake Washington. You can cross over I-90 on foot or bike now with the new revamp of the I-90 bridge, which goes from Seattle to the east side to over to Bellevue and Redmond. So you could make a whole entire loop around the lake, or you could cut it halfway by crossing back over the 90. So it is really accessible. The Burke-Gilman Trail starts in North Seattle right around the University of Washington, but it also goes down through Fremont and Ballard. So you can get on it in any of those neighborhoods and actually start running and have a really awesome trail that is pretty much uninterrupted by cars. It's very popular on the weekend. You'll see a ton of bikers, walkers, runners on that trail. So it is something that a lot of people in Seattle love to do. They love to get out and make sure they are enjoying and experiencing the outdoors, and it's a very, very active city. So those are the things that you need to know in preparation for moving to Seattle. It is a gorgeous city. It's very green. The most unique thing I think is that you have the mountains and the water spanning both the city. And so it really is an awesome place to come and land. So think about where you're going to live, know the neighborhoods you want to be in and your traffic considerations. Make sure you understand the school system if that's important to you and what you want to be near. Make sure you understand the type of house that you're interested in before you move, and we can certainly help you with that. And then you also want to make sure you are prepared for the weather, definitely prepared for the weather, and then obviously taking advantage of the outdoor activities. Those are all super important things to know when you're moving to Seattle. So hopefully this video helped. Again, if you have any questions at all or you want to chat about your move to Seattle, feel free to book time with me at the link below, or feel free to reach out directly. I'm always here to help. My name's Brennan, and I am your favorite Seattle real estate agent.